Fisker ma huladunia agus bliana va falche arashku an channel is mishe Orn Zeppelin agus bimi a skrive Gaelic gachla son 3 bliana shin. Ach, hamidona hast. It is that time of year again. It is time to share my current progress in my Hobonichi 5-year journal. We are looking at the start of my 4th year. And if you're just popping into one of my videos for the first time, one of my journaling videos for the first time, my main thing that I do in my Hobonichi journal is I attempt is the key word here. I attempt to write in Gaelic or Scottish Gaelic, which I started learning it was about 2021, and I've honestly, this wasn't a super good year for my studying. I had a whole lot going on in 2024 and not enough energy to do all of it. This might have been the year where I had more entries where I just reverted back to English because I'd have something that I wanted to talk about and just lacked the vocabulary to write it. No, I think I do need to actually finally admit that Gaelic is difficult to learn. I feel like I picked it up very quickly. The basics came to me quite fast. The grammar is weird. I like to say that Gaelic isn't that hard because I don't want to scare people away from learning it, but there's some weird stuff going on in Gaelic. We gotta be honest here. But still, I definitely can go back and see that is barely a complete sentence, and then I've got a little more written there. You can see I can write more and more. I've got a better command of the language. This entry is actually a really good example because you can see in 2022, I just decided to write about my cats. 1st grade writing assignment. Let's talk about our pets. That's the level I was writing on. Oh, wait a minute. I know what happened that day. This day, oh my gosh. So I wrote, Hamikaran bronach son mo copa brische. I'm somewhat sad because my cup broke. And what happened? I did repair it, but I did break my favorite teacup because I dropped something on it like an idiot. I was pretty grumpy, but I was able to repair it by combining some metallic paint with some glue, and I did kind of a kintsugi style repair, and I think it actually looks really cool on this cup, but I was pretty darn grumpy. This one's funny because my very good friend Jake got me a Pokemon game that was a bootleg. It's called Pokemon My Ass, so that tells you what kind of bootleg it is. And I realized at some point, hey, wait a minute, I can actually say that in Gaelic. I can say Mohon. This is actually going to prove to be a theme in 2024 as I learned some spicy Gaelic, and I proceed to use it quite a bit. It's very useful if you want to talk about a crappy day at work. This drawing's from 2023, and I was finishing up a Skyrim playthrough. I was playing Skyrim pretty much weekly all through 2022, and then finished up in 2023. And that was a goal I had for myself in 2024, is if there was nothing exciting that happened during the day, I can practice writing about something I did in my video games. There we go. There's some spicy Gaelic. And in one of my favorite ink colors, even this is, alright, for our spicy Gaelic, I used the Diamine Bah Humbug ink. And this came out of, it was an ink vent calendar, and I have it loaded into this beautiful, beautiful pen. There you go. Good picture of that nib. Just always feel very fancy. Using a nice pen, using nice ink. Another thing that's very interesting about having this 5-year setup is I have been able to tell that I get sick at almost the exact same time every year for the last 3, maybe even more than that. I think I managed to bypass getting sick in 2021, but it pretty much all lined up on the 11th for the last 3 years. So I'm drinking my tea, I'm eating healthy. I'm gonna try to bypass it this year. Actually, it must not have been too, yeah, I must not have been too sick that day because I went and rode my bike and found there was a giant sinkhole in a parking lot where I usually run, so that's a little bit of a terrifying thing to discover. One thing I want to look up this year and then note is, you'll see I noted when our king tides happened. I live right by the ocean. I actually work right by the waterfront, and so I get to see the tide fluctuations every day. And I remember this was an absolutely crazy difference in the low tides versus the high tides. If you don't live by the ocean, king tides, basically that is the point of the year where we have the most dramatic tidal fluctuation. So it's going to go from the lowest to the low to the highest of the high. Apparently I need to eat burgers on the 16th. We ate burgers on the 16th 2 years in a row. I gotta just keep with that theme. I did this on video when I was talking about, it wasn't even my last Hobonichi video, it was my how-to journal for language learning. I think I just did the black ink work, and I didn't include the colors because I don't know if I totally like how the colors looked. Maybe they're not that bad, but I liked the black and white better, so now I'm looking at it and thinking, I should have left it alone. But I like how this entry looked. I think I did this one on video also. I'm working on my colors. Sometimes when you're learning a language, you gotta get a little babyish about it. What's really funny is I've got this entry from 2022 where I was complaining about how I couldn't figure out Gaelic articles. It's actually much easier than it looked. When I took German in college, that was horrible. I like German. I do not like German grammar, but the Gaelic articles were not as difficult as German. And I did even note on the next day, if you went, past tense is important here, if you went on the Duolingo site instead of using the app, you would find the course tips. Gaelic didn't have course tips available through mobile, and now nothing has course tips because Duolingo is on a warpath to destroy their app. You're gonna hear some salt. You're gonna see some salt in here about Duolingo. I am looking into a broader variety of options, which I've been studying with places other than Duolingo. The Duolingo's not terrible, depending on what language you're learning. I think the Gaelic course is all right, but you need to look at other places to get your grammar. Also, last year was Year of the Rabbit, so that is my Lunar New Year art. This page is a little bit sticky. I'm not quite sure what made that sticky, but I got my bro Cinema Roll. He is on the beach with his friends. I did a lot more collage-y things. Oh, I forgot a day. That just means I'm going to write more on that day. Sometimes if I really can't come up with anything to write, I will leave it blank, and that means the next year I'll be able to fill something out. And you will notice I have a lot of these that aren't filled in yet, so this year or next year, that's when I'm gonna have to go hard in filling up all of my gaps. There's multiple inside jokes happening. Like, if you are familiar with the Duolingo's Gaelic course, you'll know that there's a fixation on underpants. So I had to write about underpants. It was a requirement. And then Blueberry Muffin Appreciation Day is kind of an inside joke among my friends. I think it doesn't have to stay an inside joke, though. Maybe we should just say the 26th of January. Blueberry Muffins. Excellent, excellent day. This painting was done in 2023. Or drawing, I should say. There is a little bit of painting, and I made a note about what time I did the drawing at. I had a very interesting conversation with a photographer. He saw me drawing and painting, and he said it looked really cool. And then he made a very interesting comment that, this is a terrible time right now. The lighting on the rock is terrible, and it'll look better in a couple hours. And at first I was like, really? The rock looks fine. And then I realized, the lighting, it's like there wasn't enough contrast on the rock. is the best way to put it. We're both looking at the same subject and we're probably thinking about it in different ways. It's always interesting to hear the perspective of somebody who works in a different medium. A lot of the things I was doing in 2022 in here wasn't as detailed. I was kind of hesitating to throw too much at this paper. It is a very thin paper, but it's surprising what the paper can withstand. You see, what's a little dangerous about this is I can look through here and be like, oh, I had an apricot turnover on that day. I should go get an apricot turnover. I do not need any more treats. My goodness, I do not need any more treats. This was an interesting day because we had a tornado warning, and that's a little alarming. We live, like I said, we're right by the ocean, and tornadoes aren't exactly something that we ever have, so that was kind of startling. Oh, we have 2 Catillus in a row. This is the day we found out Catillus had some thyroid issues, but he is all right now. He is actually fast asleep on my bed. This was a whole adventure. This is Mora Rock. It's a very close-up shot of Mora Rock. I went to get McDonald's because I had not had a McDonald's hamburger in a long time. I like their breakfast. I remember not caring for the hamburger. I went on a long bike ride, got myself a hamburger. I've been missing nothing over these years. The hamburgers still suck, but it was a beautiful day. Actually, the fries were pretty good. The burgers, fries were delicious. I still love that. Sometimes the best thing to do is just take a little nap. It says, I like my bed. This was it wasn't even anything was wrong that day. I was in this just go, go, go mode. I was getting a bunch of housework done and I needed to just settle down, get some art done, and I couldn't settle. Probably I did not need to have 4, 6 espresso shots. Maybe I needed to chill out, but I was having a hard time with the just settle, calm down, quiet art time mode. So this sticks in my writing about video games thing. I was playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. There's a whole, I guess you would describe it as a pet simulator here, where you're raising all these little guys called Chow, and that's always been one of my favorite parts of the game. And then Rouge the Bat's my favorite Sonic character, so I had to do an homage to her. This was a really nice thing that happened at work. So we have some plushies. I work at an anime shop right now. We got some various plushies, and sometimes they're not super well made and they end up ripping, so I'll just bring them home and repair them. And this is one of the first ones I repaired, and I actually had my mom help me because it was a little bit of a weird rip. And so just to be funny, I decided we were going to repair the rip by just slapping a big patch right on his butt, and that would just work. And this little dude was so excited. He loved Snorlax, I'm assuming. And he was so excited that it was a one-of-a-kind Snorlax. Nobody else would have anything like it. The mom was super happy that I gave her a discount on it because it was damaged, basically. So it was just a happy day. Then in 2023, I bought a big pack of busted Game Boy Pockets to repair. I still have quite a few I need to work on. I need to buy some screens. I want to get back into my Game Boy Pocket restoration. Oh, there's one of my Chow. I was playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle a lot. I got very burnt out on it. This was exciting because this was the leap day, and so I get to spend one whole spread for one day, one big adventure, and we went down to the local Asian market, which I'd actually never been to, but it's been there for ever and ever and ever. That was really fun. Getting more treats than we needed to. This is something where I might actually go in and add some more details later on in the year once we get into February, even though I wouldn't be using this day again. Oh, heck yeah. I would have showed this off last year, but it would have looked a little bit different because I did go back in 2024. I went back in and did some more details, and I do love how this guy turned out. This is Simon Bisley's birthday, my favorite artist. One of many artists I really, really like. So I picked the character Slanya, but I think the Celtic warrior guy just fits the theme of my journal. This is my my Gaelic Diogenes joke. I was learning different parts of the body. These are some of my chow. This isn't even a recent assortment here. Your chow can regenerate. So Ajax, he actually was reborn as like this little dude. His appearance changed pretty dramatically. He's back to his old self now. I might slap in a picture so you can see generally what all these little dudes look like. And then Trouble, he's cool. I'm gonna have to slap in a picture of what he looks like. And if you haven't played the game, it's like there is this very complex system for raising all these little dudes, different alignments, different types. There's all this science basically to manipulating how your chow look and how strong they are. And it's not even the main like part of the game. You could play all of Sonic Adventure 2 and never do any chow breeding. We got some Mario. This is Mario Day. Did some Mario art. Now we're kind of back into Gaelic, but for a specific reason. Now my mom and I went on a trip down to McDonald's and they were doing this like somewhere in an anime universe there's a McDonald's except it's called WickDonald's. So I cut out the bag and I took a picture of my meal. Normally, I eat a lot healthier. That's what my mom got. She got the sausage biscuit. I got the McGriddle. We each got hash browns. I got the Shamrock McFlurry nonsense. But I was thinking, okay, in this universe, it's WickDonald's. Well, Mac in Gaelic means son. That is the patronymic. So MacDonald, son of Donald. In this anime universe, that means that Whack is the patronymic. Does that mean that in this alternate universe, Gaelic now has W's? And that also means that because the W would exist if it's replacing the M, that means W can lenite, and I don't want to think about that. I do not want to live in a world in which I have to worry about how to lenite a W. You'll see Shamrock Shakes are a theme for me. My great-grandma, who had the same name as me, she was a very healthy eater, but she did like Shamrock Shakes and would get one every year, so I have started doing that myself. I will get a Shamrock Shake every year in her honor. That's a bad Duolingo day. I don't know what was going on, but I was not having a good day. That was the anniversary of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire coming out in 2003. That made me feel extremely old. And this is the illustration I did in commemoration. This is an interesting location in the land of Hoenn. You do encounter it again in Pokemon Omega Ruby, which is the remake, and they kind of expand on it, but I preferred how in the original game this abandoned ship was mostly left as a mystery. It was just a very weird location that you're gonna stumble upon, and you never really get any answers as to what is this ship and what is the story behind it. Oh dear, so my poor cat, she was having some problems. She might actually not have been constipated. This might have been before she had a UTI. She is an old cat. She is 15. As she says right there, I'm very sad. She did not seem very happy. I wish I had noted when I first noticed that Catullus is deaf. Like drumming my fingers on the table to see if he looks. He doesn't notice. He can't hear anything. I think he's calmer now, honestly. He's a very skittish cat in general. Loud noises always made him jump, and now he's like, I can't hear anything, I'm good. It used to be, every time my grandma came over, he would always hide from her, but ever since we noticed that he can't hear, he's cautious, but he's not as scared. And definitely, since she's come over and made cookies a few times, he's warmed up to her, because now he knows that much like us, my grandma also drops butter on the floor, so he likes anybody who drops butter. Our first hint that he was deaf is it's like he suddenly tripled in volume, and he's Siamese, so you can only imagine how loud he is. Oh yeah, that was 2023. This is actually a location in Super Mario Sunshine, one of my favorite locations. It's Gelato Beach. This was a very nice day. I went down to... I bought some lunch that day at work. On my 30-minute break, I rode my bike somewhere and did a little painting. Lately, I've just been doing a really short 6-hour shifts because business is very, very slow on the waterfront this time of year. But on the 8-hour shifts where I actually do get the 30-minute lunch, it can be really nice to either go for a walk on my lunch break, ride around, pick a spot and paint. This is Dragon Quest Builders. He's asking, well, he's saying that this building's terrible. Where's the architect? I'm not sure. Oh wait, that bled through. That's why that has ambiance. It kind of looks cool. This must have been done at work. That is Clefairy, the Pokemon. This is a whole mood right there. 11 o'clock at night, unintentionally huffing spray paint fumes, listening to Captain Beefheart doing a comic about Sheogorath. This is, well, kind of Sheogorath from Elder Scrolls, but mostly it's Wes Johnson, his voice actor, a very handsome, funny man. And he occasionally does live autograph signings. And so I got an autograph from him. Actually, wait a minute. Here's the autograph. Isn't that a beautiful smile? He even acknowledged me as his creepiest fangirl. And he's seen quite a bit of my fan art of him, and he always says really nice things about it. Oh, Catullus caught a bug. It was an exciting day. That was a momentous occasion. I don't know if you can hear Catullus like hollering from the living room. I was in the middle of a very large comic well, not really a large comic project. It was a comic project I was trying to do really fast. I even had some issues with it was like wrist strain, and I was getting a chafed spot on my finger. Oh my goodness, that was nuts. Oh, this was the 15th birthday of my cats, and I brought cinnamon rolls home not for the cats, but for us, the family. This, did I do it in... I misremembered this as being from 2022, but I have it noted as 2023. And then in 2024, I went in and I added a few more rocks, and I might actually continue to do that each year because I still got some space I can squeeze some rocks in. I was reading a novelization of Star Wars Episode 2. It was for pretty young readers, and it's all from the perspective of young Boba Fett. I always liked Boba Fett when I was a kid. I still think this might be the coolest thing I got in my planner. I don't know. I got some cool stuff, but I think this might be taking the cake. This is a scene from a comic I did. It's all done in black and white, but I went in with colored pencil. This is a comic that I'm making it's going to be very limited availability. Only certain times are you going to be able to get a hold of it. Oh, and I got an email about a potential comic job, and I talk about this later in here. We're not going to acknowledge what was going on that day. It was a shitstorm. But we are going to acknowledge the merman that I initially did in 2022, and then I went back in 2023 and added some more details. I think he looks a lot better now. I got a little bit of little sparkly ink on there. I started collecting some of my price stickers from my old manga. You can see the dates on there, 2025. I specifically went with things by Akira Toriyama, so I got Sandland, I got a couple volumes of Dr. Slump, I've got Dragon Ball Z. This is from the other year. This is another Super Mario Sunshine art piece. This little dude is called Il Piantissimo, and he is really fast, and he will challenge you to various races. And I drew him to commemorate the fact that I got my fastest time for Super Mario Sunshine down to 3 hours and 49 minutes. That is nowhere near the fastest time. I remember last year I did the Hobonichi video. I put in what the fastest speedrun time is. It's insane. I don't want to get any better at speedrunning this, honestly. Because the thing about speedrunning is you really do have to just pick a game and decide you're going to play that every single week for the rest of your life and become the fastest at it. And I don't have that kind of commitment. I would rather use my time to do cool portraits of Christopher Lee for his birthday. This is another one where I started it one year and then finished it another. I had just the Barris sketch going on in 2022, and then I finished it in 2023. I mentioned that comic job that I was emailed about. Here is the beginning. Samurai Goblin storyboarding for issue 1. So there's going to be a lot of talk about Samurai Goblin. Which pen was I using? It's like was that one Bah Humbug? It kind of looks like Bah Humbug, but it almost looks a little more on the pink side. This is a very pretty color, but this one can be a little hard to read. This is me commemorating that I bought some delicious sushi, and then the sake, I don't know if it was really delicious. I thought it tasted a bit like boozy coconut water, but it was a very, very pretty bottle. This guy, I'm just going to have to add details to him every year, because I started in 2022, and then each year, you can see I've noted that I've gone back in with something else, so I am going to have to keep adding to my dude here. This sticker I got at work. I want to get into Demon Slayer. That's a series that's been recommended to me, and I thought this sticker was really cute, so I wanted to do a little collage with that. This might be my best cursive in my whole journal, and it's all just to say that we had pizza for dinner. Yeah, my cursive got way better. At some point, I think I was saying I was going to switch back to printing, just because if I'm writing in Gaelic and I'm trying to say things that maybe I'm not confident on the spelling of, I want to print it out. It's a little easier that way. I don't know. It just seems like if I'm trying to both write a word I'm not familiar with and in cursive, it overcomplicates things. This was it was a fun day because it was my friend Jake's birthday, but this was the day I also decided to end my volunteer service at our local wildlife clinic. I had been volunteering for about 6 years at this point. But basically, I was juggling both my regular job at the shop. I was now working on freelance comic stuff, doing all the housework and things I do, attempting to continue with a workout routine and the volunteering. And I was also getting very, 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 very little sleep for maybe, I don't know how many months it was going on, but I had just horrible, horrible, horrible sleep for several months. I kind of sleep like crap in general. I've never, ever, ever been a great sleeper. In general, I don't really sleep for more than 3 hours at a time. But for several months in a row, I was operating off of like 4 hours a night outside due to circumstances quite outside of my control, which things are better now. I've got a white noise machine. I've got headphones I can wear while I sleep. But there was a point where I was just death on 2 legs, and I needed to make a decision on how I was spending my time. And at this point, because I had a comic job, I absolutely wanted to focus on that. There's a few things that happened last year. It was like art challenges that I normally participate in. Things like Inktober, that was a good example. Inktober, I did not do well at Inktober because I had so much other stuff going on. Because there was professional comic work going on, my regular job, all this stuff happening. I've kind of decided that I'm not going to do any long form art challenges like that because I really do need to I need to focus on the professional work. This one was actually done on a lunch break. This is a really nice day. Though I think I should have brought a thinner pen. This is a little too chunky for what I was doing. Oh, ho, ho. This is when I got myself a bottle of Glenlivet. That is some good stuff. The at I drew, I want to say that was 2020. Yeah, it would have been 2023. This was an exciting day because I got a new tablet to replace the really old one I had before. That tablet had served me well for many years, but it was kind of a piece of crap. Not really through any fault of its own, just because it was old and suffering and held together with tape. And so I got a nice new tablet, and that was wonderful because I'm now able to do digital coloring on it, and I'm also gonna get into doing some animation. Now this was exciting because the art cave underwent a pretty dramatic transformation. You can see the previous incarnation of the art cave right here, previous setup, and then after we gave everything a fresh coat of paint, and then me struggling to put all my crap back where it was supposed to go. Oh man, everything is Tetrised in, because my room's not very big. Everything is Tetrised in a specific way, but I got a pretty good, I feel like I've got a pretty good system. Things are pretty well organized. Oh my goodness, we got a nice spicy Gaelic phrase. I'm not gonna translate that. That is good to know that I learned. Is that the day I learned it? I don't know. That's the first I've seen it. And that was post 4th of July. Oh my goodness. I am not actually looking forward to 4th of July, 4th of July weekend, because I am going to be at work on the waterfront and nobody knows how to drive when there's anything exciting happening on the waterfront. Now this is exciting because this is fan art for Fluyo, which is a new language learning app. I was actually a backer for it on Kickstarter, and I haven't used it for a while, but it is, I think as of today, actually. Today it has officially gone live, and so you can get it in the Apple Store, in the Play Store, everything. And it is a paid app, but it's looking pretty damn impressive, and we're all kind of hoping it's the Duolingo killer. I'm just salty about some of the Duolingo changes. I was going to learn German because, as I said earlier, I did that in college. There were a few things that were just, the wires were getting crossed between German and Gaelic, and it kind of just made me want to jump back harder into Gaelic. So I ended up not doing a whole lot in Fluyo, even though I was in as a beta tester, but I will absolutely recommend it. Okay, this I decided to do a whole spread from my, this is the label off of the Glenlivet. This is my first ever scotch. That's a good scotch. My previous whiskey experience was Jim Beam, so I was basically going from bottom of the barrel to pretty darn good. I've been told Glenlivet 12, that is a good beginner scotch. It's not super expensive, flavor's pretty darn good. This was 2023, and this was a local Turkish coffee shop, and they have baklava and Turkish delight, and it's all delicious. It's a very beautiful shop. This was in commemoration of my my first full year at work, my work anniversary, and so I ate a hot dog and a brownie and a chai, and that was very tasty. It was a really busy day. Oh my god, that day was a mess, dude. So I started with my Gaelic profanity. It was really busy. I go onto Instagram and I find out that Francis the cat died. Francis was this adorable little guy of a cat, wonderful little cat. He had passed on. And then Wes Johnson posted a selfie where he had shaved his beard, and I did not know how to process it. It was like, this is weird. You look undressed. It would be less weird if he posted a photo of himself without his pants at that point. But the hot dog was very tasty, so that made it all worth it. I don't know why it's Wario specifically, but I like Wario. He's gonna have himself a nice sloppy hot dog. That day was my last shift at the wildlife clinic. There was, one or two, how long did I I didn't quit right off the bat. When I sent in the, hey, I'm not going to be able to volunteer anymore, I actually projected it out a little bit because we were in baby bird season, or at least the tail end of baby bird season. Summer, like the end of spring into summer, is always really crazy, and I didn't want to just tap out when everything was going to be super busy, but I kind of wish I had left a little bit sooner. This was really fun. So I initially was going to do some kind of landscape painting, and I wasn't feeling, there wasn't really anything inspiring me, so I just kind of wrote about everything I did in the day. Everything was actually very foggy, that's why I didn't get a really good landscape shot. Oh, now here things are getting pretty exciting in terms of the Animal Crossing content. I did catch every single bug in Animal Crossing New Horizons. I made a little note. I was tempted to try to complete it in the original. Well, that temptation got to me, and I actually did, somewhere in here, jump back into the original Animal Crossing. That I painted at work also. Had a reference image pulled up. Okay, there we go. I jumped back into the original GameCube Animal Crossing, and in finishing the whole bug collection, I did complete every exhibit in the museum after, what, 22, 23 years? So that's my very first character, Bob, from my very first town. It was the banded dragonfly that was the last thing I needed, and that one is a little bit infamous for being very difficult to catch out of any bug in any Animal Crossing game. This here is my original, very first Animal Crossing town. It is called Middletoe, and yes, that is what it's supposed to be called. It wasn't a typo. Kind of wanted to do one of these maps for my side town. I have a side town called Madrid, and that town I've had also since I was a kid. And that has a really cool layout. So this is Daisy's Coffee and Tea, my favorite coffee shop, which unfortunately closed as of very recently. I'm very sad about that. But trying to keep a business open on the waterfront is surprisingly difficult. You'd think with all the people we get during the summer anyway, we do really well. It gets super dead during the winter, and everybody's rent is like obscenely high. Yeah, this one was 2023. First Pokemon cards we got at the shop were the Trick or Trade packs. That's actually all we have right now. We are low on Pokemon cards. I must have drank way too much damn coffee because I got all the cups of coffee and then I've got the heart saying, oh no. I need to just cut down the coffee. This was, okay, more Animal Crossing. This was a monumental occasion. So this isn't Bob. This is my second character, Orange. I was able to get the golden axe, and you gotta have a perfect town for 15 straight days. It's kind of vague what constitutes as a perfect town. It's not super easy, but I was super glad I was able to accomplish it. And I tried to do it again in my side town, Madrid, but I never quite figured out what was wrong with my town. But I did get a lot of nice flowers planted. Look, it's a super nice looking town, even though it's not perfect enough to get that golden axe. More art from Daisy's. I'm salty about them closing, but I get it. Business is tough. Oh, I want to share this because I did another illuminated manuscript type illustration. I want to do more of those, but it does take a lot of time and a lot of planning. This was painted at my other favorite coffee shop. That was in 2023. I should actually fill that little space in right there. I missed that back in 2022, but that would be nice to fill in. And thankfully they're still around and they're doing well. That was the first coffee shop I ever went to back when I was just getting into coffee. I didn't actually drink coffee at all until like 2021 when I was suddenly thrust into the role of being a barista, and then I discovered, hey, this stuff is pretty tasty. This here is a lesson in testing your pens, because this whole nice little comic I did was kind of ruined by this ink bleeding through. I collaged in a picture of this cat, because that looks like my boy Catullus. Now, this was a sad day for Iron Maiden fans because Paul Di'Anno, who was the original vocalist for Iron Maiden, he was the vocalist on the first 2 albums, he passed away that day. So I wanted to do something to honor him. That was, oh man, I organized my entire life. That was an emotional ordeal. So it was 20 years of drawings. If you count the comics, actually, the comics might have even gone further. Oh, the comics might have gone back even further. And this wasn't like everything I've ever drawn in the past 20-something years. Because what I have is just the tip of the iceberg of what I've been drawing over the years. It's kind of insane. I have almost all of the comics I've done, so it is like 20-something years of comics. You gotta rake through a lot of garbage. Got another installment of Anju, that means today. So I jumped back into Animal Crossing City Folk, not one of my favorite Animal Crossings. I feel like everything is expensive and it's harder to get money. My poor town was in a very, very sorry state. I don't remember if these were here I probably did do it last year, but now I don't really remember. But I was doing various woodland creatures and the Gaelic names. Oh, this is sticky. Oh, I see. There we go. November 12th is my birthday, so there's a lot going on here, and I had a lot to say about this year's birthday. It was a very good day. Actually, let's mention what I got for my birthday, which is this Schaefer coffee pen. And actually, I even noticed I was filling it with... Let's find it. I filled it with the Robert Oster Cities of America, Kansas City, because I thought that was a good coffee color, and I did find that is really, really nice for... I've actually got a couple of inks going on here. That is really nice for just kind of a skin tone, and also for sketching. I very often just use black for my drawings, or just black ink, but that is a really good color for this. Did a little bit of hatching with the pen, and then I just took a brush and was painting with it, and I like how that turned out. Actually, there we go. That's with that new pen. It was a good day, I said. This entry starts with me saying, I might be a maniac or a moron, and if that isn't just a sum up every single thing about myself, it's specifically because I was coming up with the idea for my 12 Days of Comicsmas that I just released. That was a lot of work. This spread I had to do in honor of my first time trying haggis. That was pretty darn good. Haggis sounds a heck of a lot worse than it actually is. I don't know what the hell happened here. My goodness. I think I did that at work. I'm not sure why everything... Oh dear. We have some stickiness. There we go. We're good. I did that at the zoo. We were in a whole zoo full of animals, and I decided I wanted to do perspective work on a tree. It was a neat tree. Oh, it was cold, cold, cold that day. The lemurs were all curled up in little piles. They were not having it. Absolutely not. But it was a very fun visit. Actually kept a little clip from a Scottish selection box I ordered from Jolly Posh Foods. So there's black pudding, there's haggis, there's rolls. Had a little special message. Biach blasta a alaba. And it came just in time for St. Andrew's Day. We had wonderful, wonderful haggis. Haggis and taters. I wore my kilt that day. That's Hermaeus Mora. Daedric Prince of Knowledge. Very festive, I guess, because he is in my Christmas section. Actually, what I should mention is my mom set up an ink advent calendar. She basically got a bunch of inks from the 2021 Diamine Inkvent calendar. And so I was using different ones every day. Winter Spice is a really cool color, and I kind of want to load it into this pen once I'm out of the Kansas City, but I'm not 100% sure if the sparkles are going to cause problems or not. It's not crazy sparkly. It might be okay. Just sometimes you'll find the sparkles kind of clog the pen. There was Seasons Eatings. It just says it all. There were Seasons Eatings. This, I was trying to emulate Beatrix Potter's painting style. I am not cool enough. You can actually see there was some bleeding through, so that kind of... Was that bleed? Okay, yeah, that was bleeding through. I wasn't sure if maybe this transferred or it's bleeding, but no, this one bled. This is a cool color, though. It looks good on this paper with the dip pen I was using. I actually loaded it into this pen, and it's not working quite as well, but I will figure something out. There's my kitty cats. They were helping me with the puzzle. Also, that magical thing right there, that is a cinnamon star. That was very delicious. We got we got our Charizard before the end of the year, and that just about does it for year 3 of my Hobonichi. And this is how chunky it is right now. I'm actually trying to hold it closed with a strap, and it's not even working that well. Whoops. There we go. I might need to reinforce it with another strap. This, I think, is getting pretty worn out. But I am going to wrap it up here because my throat is quite sore, and you guys are probably tired of hearing me talk at this point. So I hope you enjoyed looking through all of this. This is this very chunky, this chunky Hobonichi. I don't even think I showed you. I do have the day that I started learning Gaelic marked in here. It was September 9th of 2021, but I do have the Gaelic anniversary marked. But I hope you enjoyed checking everything out. Maybe you got some inspiration for your own journal, and I will see you all in another episode.